Support.
The maestro, please.
Last night, all I think about is you. Don't stop, baby, you can walk too. Don't want, baby, think about you.
Quickest turnaround we ever do for a pop analysis because February is the shortest month and therefore has the least amount of time between it and the previous pop analysis. Today we will be looking at Heat Waves by Glass Animals.
Glass Animals.
Glass Animals is an indie rock band out of the UK formed in Oxford specifically back in 2010. The group consists of Dave Bailey on vocals, Drew McFarlane on guitar, Edmund Irwin-Singer on bass, and Joe Seward on drums. Despite all of their 3 studio albums charting on the Billboard 200, this is their first charting song on the Billboard Hot 100.
Background.
Heat Waves was initially released on June 29th back all the way in 2020. It would then be another 6 months before the song ever appeared at the Hot 100 on January 16th in 2021 at the very bottom, number 100. The following week, it would then fall off the chart entirely. That being said, just a little bit later in the first week of February, it would rechart at 91. It would then work its way all the way up to number 2 on its 51st week on the chart, setting the record for the longest climb to the top 5 on the Hot 100. After such a long climb, yes, it is still number 2 as of the end of February. There are numerous different versions of Heat Waves that have been officially released, such as a live version.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
A version that features Ian Dior.
I be thinking about what life could be. Imagine it was only you and me.
A remix done by Diplo.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
In fact, there are so many versions of this that they actually released a collection of them entitled the Heat Waves Expansion Pack. This further includes a remix done by Oliver Heldens.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
A remix done by Written.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
A remix done by Shakur Ahmad.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
A remix done by Sonny Fedora.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
Just a slowed version of the song.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
As well as a stripped back version, which is basically Dave Bailey doing an acoustic version of the song.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
The original Heat Waves is off of the album Dreamland, which was released August 7th back in 2020. Heat Waves is the 4th of 5 singles that have been released from this album. The other 4 being
If this is my life, then I'm Tokyo drifting.
So much deja vu. And now I can feel your love. Slipping through dreamland like a tourist at first friend.
and finally
It's all so incredibly loud. It's all so
Dave Bailey is listed as the sole songwriter and producer of this song, which is actually true for the majority of the songs from Dreamland. While Dave Bailey has a handful of credits outside of Glass Animals, this is still his first pop hit regardless. Heat Waves is released by Wolftone, Polydor, and Republic Records.
Form.
Heat Waves is listed as both a psychedelic pop and R&B song, is just under 4 minutes long, is in B major, and 81 beats per minute. After the heavily filtered intro, the intro actually continues into the song proper. It then goes into the first chorus.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
Followed by the first verse.
Usually I put something on TV, so we never think about you and me.
Then the second chorus.
He waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Second verse.
I don't wanna be alone. You know it hurts me too.
A third chorus.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June.
A bridge.
I just wonder what you're dreaming of when you sleep and smile so comfortable.
The fourth and final chorus.
He always been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Before an outro that was quite similar to part of the intro. And a very stripped back section at the very end to end the song.
Guitar.
The guitar is the main accompanying and harmonic figure that exists throughout the song, doing these arpeggiated broken chords, going C sharp minor over G sharp, B major over F sharp, G sharp minor over D sharp, F sharp major over C sharp, E major over B, B major over F sharp, G sharp minor over D sharp again, and then F sharp major over C sharp. The only other time we hear any sort of deviation from that is during the bridge, where it now actually sustains a chord for a whole bar as opposed to 2 beats, going E major over B, F sharp major over C sharp, G sharp minor over D sharp, and then B major over F sharp.
Bass.
The other major accompanying instrument that happens throughout the majority of the song. It does half-note rhythms for the entirety of it, going from C sharp to B to G sharp to F sharp to E, back up to B, then up to C sharp, and then down to F sharp.
Chords.
Playing at various parts throughout the song, the first time we hear it, it's kind of done over these broken figures. They keep doing the same chord, even in the same inversion, but it's played on 2 different sounds. It goes C sharp minor over G sharp, B major over F sharp, G sharp minor over D sharp, F major over C sharp, E major over B, B major over D sharp, G sharp minor over D sharp, and then ends on F sharp major over C sharp. We do get a quick change at the end of the second verse. The sound changes, as well as the rhythm, now just sustained half notes. The chords go E major over B, F sharp major over C sharp, G sharp minor over D sharp, and then once again, F sharp major over C sharp. Just like the guitar, it also changes during the bridge. Still doing those sustained half notes, but we now have E major over B, F sharp major over C sharp, G sharp minor over B, D sharp major over A sharp, don't get too scared of that F double sharp that you see, then E major over B, F sharp major over C sharp, G sharp minor over B, and then B major over F sharp.
Synth.
We do get a handful of additional elements throughout the song, such as this high synth that plays during the various climactic points in the song, going C sharp B, then C sharp D sharp, before dropping to the F sharp, the following bar, going 2 Bs up to C sharp down to G sharp. It then repeats that for the most part, except the very last bar, where instead of doing 2 Bs, it does C sharp B. There's then this interesting figure at the very end of the song, which is actually quite reminiscent of some Game Boy sounds. I separated the lines like this so you can actually see and hear the interesting counterpoint that happens at the very end of the song.
Intro.
At the very beginning of the song, we have Dave Bailey singing what is essentially the melody from the chorus, given it has completely different lyrics, and this is the only point in the song that we actually hear these lyrics.
Last night, all I think about is you. Don't stop, baby, you can walk too. Don't want, baby, think about you. You know that I never gonna lose.
Following that, once the song's beat actually gets going, we have this low, very clearly modulated figure going basically between C sharps and Bs, given there's the occasional D sharp thrown in every now and again. It's good to note this figure repeats itself near the end of the song, given it's not cut off at the end like it is in the intro.
Chorus.
The main earworm of the song that Dave Bailey sings. The lower line is actually the main melody, and the line above it is the supporting vocals that Dave Bailey is giving to himself. For the most part, it actually just sings the exact same line, but notice at the beginning how he's much higher in his register as he works back down to what his main vocals are singing.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
There's not really many alterations from that main chorus line that he essentially repeats throughout the song. Really, the only differences we ever get are subtle, like on You, how instead of holding the C sharp, he then finally falls to the B as we go into the second bar of this phrase.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Verse.
The melodic range for the verses is actually quite similar to the ranges of the chorus. Dave Bailey is still on the upper end of his register, given his rhythms are much more syncopated than they are in the chorus, and he does dip lower in his range occasionally.
Usually I put something on TV, so we never think about you and me. But today I see our reflections clearly in Hollywood, laying on the screen.
This continues into the second half of the first verse, given his lyrics become a little less syncopated, and we have a few more just straight 16ths thrown throughout.
You just need a better life than this. You need something I can never give. Fake water all across the road. It's gone now, the night is come, but
The second verse introduces a lot of new rhythmic material, especially the opening with the 16th and dotted 8th note figures. Also note that he has more sustained notes in this verse than he did in his previous one, especially on the word go.
you can't fight it, you can't breathe. You say something so loving, but now I gotta let you go. You'll be better off in someone new.
On the back half of the second verse, this is still continued, a couple of more 16ths and not as much syncopation until the back half of this phrase, although we still do have that half note held on the back half of the word alone.
I don't wanna be alone. You know it hurts me too. You look so broken when you cry. One more and then I say goodbye.
Bridge.
The vocals in the bridge are much more emblematic of the vocals that we heard in the very first verse, high in his range and very syncopated.
I just wonder what you're dreaming of when you sleep and smile so comfortable. I just wish that I could give you that look that's perfectly unsaid.
The back half of the bridge is actually taken directly from the chorus, the only change being is that he repeats the line, "Heat waves been faking me out," twice.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He waves been faking me out. He waves been faking me out.
Talk about a sleeper hit released back in 2020, and 2 years later it's number 2, oddly reminiscent of Lizzo's Truth Hurts, to be honest, given this one's popularity seems to be inspired a lot by the app on TikTok, and really just social media in general. Really makes you think when it comes to sleeper hits, are we going to get
One more and then I say goodbye. Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
And here I am thinking that Old Town Road had a bunch of remixes.
Sometimes all I think